Hey, we're live.
Cheers.
Hi, cheers.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Me too.
It's great to have you after having your sister on a few months ago.
Yeah,
I
know.
We love the wine so much, and you were in town. And we thought, well, we got to do it again. So
thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you to you.
So these Casa Di Monte wines, we've had them in the store for a little while. We put everyone onto it. The little Chianti Classico for a great opening introduction into Chianti. And I think that all of them across the board, from the entry level all the way up to the higher end, are way over deliver for their price point. I think they're beautiful wines, and I just want to let you know, I told your sister the same thing. I think they're beautiful wines for the price. They're unbelievable.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
And from Chianti, you go kind of across the board. You even finished with Vinsanto, and you have Gran Selezione.
Yeah.
And,
so let's talk about that though, the Gran Selezione, because I, for some reason, can't wrap my head around it. I know it's relatively new, and it's something that I don't have a lot of experience with.
So Gran Selezione was born, is one of the last appellation in Chianti Classico, and was born in 2010. And we produce from single vineyard, 100% Sangiovese grapes. So we have to communicate to the consortio which part of the land we use to produce the Gran Selezione. And in fact, we have a small production. We have done a big selection by hand of the best grapes during the harvest, and so we produce 2,000 bottles for here. And we have decided don't produce every year, but we decide the best vintage, and so this is 2012. In our opinion, is one of the best vintage in Tuscany, like 2015.
So whenever you are, is this across the board that it has to be hand harvested, or is that just what you are doing as a producer? That's what you are doing with your Gran Selezione?
We do our Gran Selezione.
Okay.
We have the land, the main part of the winery is in Chianti area, so we have to move the grapes from the Chianti Classico area abroad to the Chianti area, where we have the cellar to do the fermentation, aging for a long time.
So when it comes to the classification itself, I know with Chianti it's not 100% Sangiovese. With the Gran Selezione, does it have to be 100%, or is it
100% Sangiovese grapes? You can add a little percentage of international grapes, but we love the tradition.
Sure.
And so we have decided to produce all of the Chianti Classico only with the Sangiovese grapes. Okay. This is the tradition from Tuscany.
Of course, absolutely. Is there a minimum age requirement that it spends on barrel?
Yeah, Gran Selezione, the consortio required the minimum 36 months of age. We aged in a small barrel, and another important required before putting on the market, we have to leave in the bottle to the refinement for 6 months, and then I can putting in the market.
It re-ferments for,
yeah.
Okay, wow. Yeah.
This is a rules from the consortio, like for the Riserva, the same. We have to leave before putting in the market 6 months to refinement.
Selezione, you said it's mostly 100% Sangiovese, and you said that you hand harvest.
Yeah.
Does everybody have to hand harvest in Gran Selezione?
Maybe. Some winery has a mechanical harvest, but to have the best harvest, you have to do by hand.
And then Vinsanto, you know, not a lot of people know how Vinsanto is made. It's a very interesting process. It takes a little bit of time, and
God sprinkles it from the heavens, right?
Yeah.
and,
holy wine.
Well, it seems like it's holy wine sometimes because, you know, it's very the holidays. People really buy a lot over the holidays.
Yeah.
But can you tell people how that process of that wine is
The process of Vinsanto is very different from wine, because we pick grapes up on September, and then we live in a room until December. So the grapes began like resin, is a concentrate of sugar, alcohol. On December we press the resin, so the sugar is not too much, and then we put in caratello. Caratello is a typical small barrel that we use only for Vinsanto, and we live there for 5 years, and we don't never open. So it's a very natural process, a natural wine.
No opening of barrels and topping them off. The angels share. The angels get what they get.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
We close and we don't open. For example, the barrels we fill. The total is 100 liter, and we fill for 90 liters. So we leave a space of air to have the right fermentation, but we don't never open.
Never open.
No, never.
So what do you end up losing in the angel share over 5 years? Do you end up, you start with 90 liters, right? What do you end up with? You know?
No, allora, when we pick up, we take the Vinsanto is less than we put inside.
Sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
of course.
You lose a little bit.
Yeah, we lose a little bit.
So
yeah.
you start with 90 and with 80 or something.
Yeah.
Percentage-wise.
Yeah.
And then your family, like this winery's been around for some time. How long?
Allora, we bought this winery in 1912, so it's from the 100 here. In fact, in 2012 we have celebrated the centenary of the winery, so we have decided to create Laureo or Super Tuscany to this important moment for our winery.
What is in the Super Tuscan? What's the blend?
The blend is Sangiovese and Merlot. So the basic is the Sangiovese, the mean grapes that we use in Tuscany to produce the red wine like Chianti and Chianti Classico, and 30% of Merlot. So French grapes. But all grapes came from our wine. We don't buy nothing. No wine, no grapes.
It's all estate fruit.
Yeah, of course.
This is the first time I've ever heard an Italian use the term Super Tuscan. I thought that was a no-no.
It's more USA.
I thought we weren't supposed to say
IGT,
that.
Rosso di Toscana.
Rosso di Toscana.
Rosso di Toscana.
Yeah.
In fact, if a lot of people came in Italy and asked for Super Tuscany, if you go in my country town, nobody understands.
What's a Super Tuscan?
Yeah.
It's like somebody saying, could you put a little cheese on my fish?
Yeah, the same.
No.
Parmigiano on the
No.
spaghetti with vongole.
So what grapes are you producing? You've got Sangiovese, you've got Merlot, you've got a little Trebbiano. What else are you
And then we have Malvasia, Viognier, Merlot, Petit Mansin, and then we have Colorino. Colorino is a typical grapes, indigenous grapes that we use to produce the traditional blend of Chianti. And it's very popular in Tuscany. But just to give a color to the wine.
Sure.
You said Viognier?
Viognier.
Why?
Because we have a white wine, just one, that we produce 100% Viognier.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody call Murillo.
Oh, yeah, immediately.
How many SKUs do you have in your portfolio?
No, because Marilio don't like.
He's the importer, by the way. He imports.
By the way, step by step.
No, I mean in your book. And how many wines?
Like at the
do you
winery.
produce?
Allora, we have, in total, we have 8 red, 1 Vinsanto, 2 Grappa, and 2 white wine, 1 rosé wine, and then this year we have produced a new wine without sulfite, because we have done a big investment in the cellar, and so we have a special vet, and so we work without oxygenation, and so we don't add the sulfite.
Okay, so how does that work? How does that work without oxygen? How does, if you don't let any oxygen in the tank, right?
Exactly.
Zero.
Zero. And the first oxygen that the wine take is when I open the bottle, because we have a technology that take away the oxygen, and so we work without oxygen.
So where do the sulfites go?
No, the sulfite we don't add.
You're not adding sulfites. You're not adding SO2, is what
exactly.
you're saying. So the sulfites that are in the wine, you're producing a no sulfite added wine.
Exactly.
But the sulfites,
natural.
so
Yes.
But natural sulfites could be there.
Exactly.
Just like you would in a tomato or lettuce.
So you're working about 5 to 10 parts per million.
Correct.
That's what you're.
Yeah.
I understand.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
We always get we get a lot of criticism. Anthony especially gets a lot of criticism on saying not all wines have sulfites. Right?
Yeah,
all
wine have.
They just don't. Some don't added sulfites.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, getting away from this sulfite issue that gets me in so much trouble. I want to get back to, you said grappa, and I love this because we haven't had anyone on, I think, that is a grappa producer.
No,
I don't think anyone's talked about it. Can you talk a little bit about the process of grappa for some of our listeners?
After the fermentation, when we take away from the juice, the wine, and the skin of the grapes, we leave the skin outside to dry, and then we bring in the distillery to have our grappa, but with our skin.
Yeah.
So we produce by the grapes skin.
Okay.
And we produce two kind of grappa, one basic and one aged in the oak barrel. Yeah. For 2 years.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they're all, so again, your grappa is a state grappa, right? It's all your grapes. Because a lot of grappa production is a distiller pulling grapes from other wineries and producing grappa at a separate facility. You actually have a still.
Yeah.
And you're just,
because we want to use our grapes, so we can also decide to go in the distillery and buy grappa, but we prefer take appointment with the company distillery and then bring our skin, because it's a different result.
So I've never quite understood, because are you making single varietal grappa? So like a grappa from Sangiovese, or is it just a collection of the bunch?
It's only grappa from Sangiovese, and we use the grapes that came from Chianti area.
Okay.
For the Chianti Montespertoli area. Chianti Montespertoli is a subzone of Chianti region.
Sure.
And we use that kind of grapes.
So when you're distilling it down, what are you distilling it to? I mean, as far as proof goes. I mean,
like, do you have to distill it multiple times?
No, we distill just one time. See, because we don't produce a lot of,
But in
just a small market, the grappa.
In the distillation process, though, you would think that you lose a lot of the flavor from the grape itself, right? Or is that not the case? I don't know. I'm not a huge grappa aficionado, but you would think you would lose specific from Sangiovese versus Merlot, right? Because I've had grappa from Merlot. How do you maintain that grape flavor during the distillation process? Because you're pushing up to at least, what is your alcohol percentage on your grappa?
I think 40. Around 45% of
right, so you're pushing
alcohol.
High, right?
Yeah.
How it's unique. I know I see it everywhere. You know, grappa from this, grappa from that.
Grappa from Amarone, grappa from
exactly.
I don't know enough about the process itself to how you maintain the flavor from your Sangiovese versus from a Merlot. You know, I don't know how that works.
I don't know, because alcohol would, I think, cover it up some flavors, right?
I would think so, but I know there's people screaming at us as they're listening to this right now.
Right, yeah.
But
you know, I always say when I look at grappa, there's the clear grappa, right? The one, you know, and then there's the aged grappa, which is a little browner.
Brown.
And I'm always going to reach for those brown versions because I like that style. I like
more soft.
Yeah, and it has a little age. Maybe there's some maybe the oak has released some flavor profiles. But there is a difference between a Sangiovese grappa, right, versus a Moscato grappa.
Of course.
Right? There's definitely a flavor profile there. But how would I explain that to people? I mean, you know, what would you say the Sangiovese grappa is different
Different, yeah, different because you know Moscato is like a sweet grapes.
Yeah.
Instead, Sangiovese is a very dry grapes. So also the final result of grappa is completely different. You know, every wine that comes from Sangiovese grapes is a dry wine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're getting to your alcohol percentage a little bit quicker because of the more sugar that's retained in the Moscato. So you're keeping some of that sugar content by the time you get to that 45%. I understand that.
We'll have to come over and have like a really good tasting and a lesson of what is the difference between. We'll bring some grappas from everywhere and we'll sit down and do a discussion with maybe you and your sister would come on together.
See, together.
Yeah.
Together tasting grappa.
And your husband works at the winery too, no?
See, they prefer, my husband and Linda's husband prefer stay in the cellar, in the vineyard, and that's it.
No doing tours.
No, they don't speak English. They don't like too much talk about people. So we have a good relation because they stay there. Me and Linda came here.
That's amazing. So you're at a little over 100 years on the winery itself, and you have about, if I remember correctly, and if I'm pulling this out of my ass, then I'm really surprised. But I think she said that you guys have like 80 hectares. Is that right?
40 hectares.
I double shot.
Yeah. 40 hectares.
40 hectares.
30 hectares in Chianti area and 10 hectares in Chianti Classico area. Yeah.
Okay.
And 2,000 plants of olive tree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you're producing olive?
Yeah, two kind of olive oil. One basic olive oil and one Laudemio olive oil. Laudemio olive oil is one of the most important famous olive oil in Tuscany. There is only 21 producer in all Tuscany, and I don't know, you know, Antinori, Frescobaldi is inside this consortium of Laudemio, and is a top level of olive oil.
What makes it top level?
Top level because, for example, it's like an appellation of Chianti Classico. So when I decide to bottle my Laudemio, I have to send the sample to the consortio. Consortio analysis taste. They decide if my olive oil Laudemio is okay to bottle. When they give me okay, they leave me a certificate where they approve, for example, 100 liter of Laudemio, and they give me the exact empty number for 100 liter of Laudemio. So it's impossible to have the fake Laudemio.
They can't make any more. It's just impossible.
And you can recognize because all producer has the same bottle. Is institutional bottle.
Everybody has the same one.
The same.
You can't fake it.
It's a rules.
Does it ever? Do you guys ever export it into the U.S.?
Yeah. We have here in Florida.
Oh, we have to get a bottle of that.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
Do a wine
about
tasting.
It. Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's a wonderful taste.
What is the flavor profile?
Flavor like spicy, mint, very in the month. It's wonderful.
Like green, and
I love that.
I like an olive oil that tastes really olivey, you know, there's something about that.
And you can recognize immediately that you can smell olive oil because the smell is incomparable.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful, yeah. I lost my word.
Well, excellent. We've learned a lot today.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard of this style of olive oil. You know, I did not know. You know, your production of Chianti Classico Selezione is very tiny.
Yeah, very
small.
tiny.
This year, how many bottles this year?
2,000 bottles.
2,000 bottles.
Bottles.
That is nothing. That is such a small production.
How much of it makes it into distribution into the States?
No, he bought all production from Gran Selezione because you think I have just left one cases for my private collection in my home, but the rest is only in USA.
And then Vinsanto can't be a lot, right? You can't.
See, also the Vinsanto, we don't produce a lot of bottle. We have around the same number of Gran Selezione, 2,000 bottles.
Yeah, because I figure, you know, every year you're putting another selection of Vinsanto in the attic, right?
Yeah.
And so that means every 5 years you're pulling one selection out and starting all over again.
Well, what's really interesting is 5 years, right?
5 years in the Caratello, little barrel.
Little barrel, barrique.
Yeah,
right?
Well, similar barrique.
Similar.
Smaller than barrique.
Smaller than barrique.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
100 liter.
Wow.
Wow. Well, you're on the 2007 vintage.
Yeah.
You're really behind, which is wonderful. And the 2007 is drinking unbelievable. And you said it's one of your favorite vintages, correct?
See, 2007, it's wonderful. And then it's a good balance between sweet and dry, because often we find some Vinsanto too much sweet or too much dry. Instead, this is perfect.
Very balanced.
Yeah.
So if you were going to sit down is that after the meal? Biscotti.
Biscotti, cantuccini.
Yeah.
Cigar.
Cigar.
That's what that's right for. That's what I think that's
See,
for.
in Italy it's very typical. After dinner we have a glass of Vinsanto with this cantuccini. Is cookie, very hard. So you have to dip in the Vinsanto to soft the taste.
That's awesome. I love it.
Well, we really enjoyed having you here today.
Thank you.
For the tasting, for all of you who missed it.
Thank you.
And,
It was great.
Yeah,
and these wines, to be honest, I haven't personally tasted through this lineup since your sister was here, and I love these wines. They're phenomenal. Again, so thank you so much for taking the time to come pour and come hang out on the show today. It's been a pleasure.
And we'll have you probably back in next year sometime.
Oh, of course.
Or before the holidays.
All November.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much.